fishing is the be all and end all, but beyond and before all that is where it really happens. That's where the work is involved, that's where all I think the real hard work starts and finishes really, which is in preparation.
These European anglers are getting better and better, so we need to up our game. We need to make sure that we're on top of everything, prepared everything correctly, we've ticked every box and we're ready to go.
It's the World Championship, it's the pinnacle of the sport for me. You're fishing at the very highest level against the best anglers in the world. If you can't get motivated for that, you can't get motivated for anything.
With a spare handle that's either telescopic or one that you can tape up, so you can actually cut stick-ups and things like that. I think that's really important.
I absolutely love all of these trips. I'd rather do 2 or 3 of these a year than go fishing every week back home. Every single time you go, it's a proper adventure. It's something that you would remember for the rest of your life, whether you fish or not. When we start this journey, which is, and I'm going to call it a journey because, you know, people just see a 2-day event. This is, I'm going to say 2 months. It's months and months because mentally you prepare, and then when you start physically preparing, you start gathering your tackle. And obviously, as an international angler, you build up a massive portfolio of fishing tackle. So, heading to Serbia this year, I'm thinking it's over 100 metres wide in places. It's quite deep, and we're fishing for a varied amount of species. So, the tackle that you need to sort of have in your armoury is vast.
So this will be my 9th or 10th World Champ now that I've been visiting with the team. Made the team on probably the last 5 years, and it doesn't get any easier. The standard of anglers that we're fishing against, they're getting harder every year.
So of course one of the most important things when we're fishing the World Championships is obviously sorting the bait out. What we can and can't take, what we need to source en route, which we are actually collecting some up on the way, and also what is available out there. We don't actually know what we're fishing for, especially in this World Champs in Serbia. There's not a lot of press about it. So we've got dark ground baits, we've got light ground baits, we've got fish meals, we've got sweet ground baits, we've got blacks, we've got yellows. We are literally thousands of miles away from home, getting the right bait and sorting the right bait out. I mean, there's 10 blokes in here now who we're trying to all come together, who's taking what, and that's obviously what makes us the team that we are.
Travel-wise, this is going to be the longest trip by road. We've been to South Africa in the past, but that was by plane. So it's going to be a long drive, 2.5 days. And also, it's the first venue we've been to where information's really sketchy. They don't fish it a lot. Nobody's got like a preconceived idea, so we're going a little bit blind. So it's going to be, I think it's more difficult, but I think a lot of countries are going to be in the same boat. World Championships are all about the team, and everyone will tell you that, but I am ranked #1 in the world. It's amazing to be ranked #1 and something I'm very proud of, but, and I say this to everyone, you can't be ranked #1 if your team's not doing well. So my results to me are a byproduct of a very good team plan, all working together, and all trying to win as a team. You can't be a great individual at a world level unless you're all working together.
It's an offshoot of the River Danube. So we've fished it before in the past at Novi Sad. We've fished a challenge match on there and a World Championships. But this is a lot further away on the same venue. So the fish go in there for a few different reasons. They go in there to spawn, they go in there when the Danube's in flood. So it could be very, very tough fishing, or there could be a few fish to go at. Because it's not a regularly match-fished venue, it doesn't see a lot of bait. So obviously practice week, when pet anglers are fishing every day, there's bait going in on the pegs every day, it might get better. We don't know. So really have got to approach it with a very open mind as to how we're going to do it.
We could be fishing short lines, we could be fishing midline, long lines, different depths and different weights of feeders, which means then, you know, your most important product is your rod. And Am I casting 60 gram feeder? Am I casting a 10 gram feeder? Am I casting that short or am I casting it long? So we're talking about a multiple, and when I say multiple, you're not fishing with one rod. You don't take one rod to World Championships. You're fishing for your country. You're representing the rest of the fishermen that you've known all your life. You don't want to be, you have a tangle, or you're going to get stuck and then reach round and you've only got one rod set up on that line. So if you've got a 10 foot, 11 foot, 12 foot, 13 foot, you're talking about 3 or 4 of those duplicated, multiplied. Then you're talking, is it nylon, is it braid? Because, you know, obviously if you're looking for bite detection, you want braid. If you're looking for big fish and it's carp, you're looking at nylon. So the multitude of tackle that you're looking at is phenomenal. And I don't want to make it sound like it's an impossible task and, you know, we're going to need a lorry load, but it's a van full.
So once you know what species there are to catch and how you're going to catch them, you can then fine tune and then do the last lot of prep there. So you've got a base of all the different things covered that you think you're going to need, and then you can just fine tune it there. So you've literally got to take everything. It's not a case of being able to pop down the local tackle shop or anything like that. So the vans are going to be pretty well packed on the way there.
I absolutely love the journey out there, because when I first started doing these international trips, I always felt to myself that the journey was like, oh no, I've got to go 2 days in a van. But ultimately, I'm travelling across Europe with my best mates, talking about fishing, talking about anything, and it seems to take stages. You might start off talking about fishing, then it gets a bit deeper, meaningful, then you might have something that's funny that probably isn't funny to anybody else when they're out there.
This was built in, yeah.
Right, a nice, right, all built in
Built in.
stockings into the shorts.
Compression. The sports for athletes.
So it's all part of what you're doing. You're driving to Serbia. You don't get a chance to do those sorts of things. So I try to embrace it as the positive that it is, and you see all these things as you go along that you wouldn't see normally. People would do this trip for a holiday. They would drive across Europe for a holiday, and we get to do that. So I try to look at it as in a positive way, and we break it down into stages so it's not too much. We'll have a drink on a night. We might stop up, have a drink, have a nice meal. You know, we'll also talk amongst the vans as well. So it's all part of it for me. The negative is the time, but ultimately that is the journey.
Right, we are on our way. It's the great road trip. We're on our way to Serbia. We're currently 8 hours 29 minutes from Hungary, where we're stopping overnight. We stopped overnight last night in Belgium, and we're on the road again, obviously. 3 vans on the road, myself and Waco, Mick Viles, Will Freeman, Lee Kerry and Rob Wootton. So obviously 3 vans driving, and the rest of the entourage, including manager Dean Barlow, they'll be flying out on Friday. They've got, although they might argue, they've got the easier life, because this is a long 2.5 days on the road is a long old trip. So
It's quite exciting because on the border of Serbia, it's not in the EU, so you know we have to make sure every box is ticked, everything's right, part of the journey, and then obviously we'll get our first look at where we're fishing, won't we? So I mean that's what drives me, Rob. And we'll how many matches we're going to fish on the way here? I'm saying quite a few, aren't we?
A few matches. We've got plenty of time to talk through tactics, and hopefully, come the first day of training, we've got half an idea of how we want to start.
So we're here down at Zelards in Hungary, and just outside Budapest. We've collected the bait. He's our good friend and obviously an associate of the Drennan England feeder team. He's kindly received all the sensor scram bait for us, which we've then loaded into the vans to make the last leg of our long trip. He's helped us out. We've had a good look round his kit room, because obviously they offer different things in this part of the world. And then we'll jump in the van, make it down to the border, cross into Serbia, and hopefully that'll be us done, nice and settled, so we can start the campaign.
With all of the team settled in the hotel and a well-deserved night of sleep under their belts, it was an early start for the first practice day. The hotel had kindly allowed the team to store all the bait in their cellar, as it was both cool and dark. This cellar was an ideal bait lab and perfect for the backroom staff to work from. Now, secrecy can be key in these big competitions, and none more so than in a World Championships, particularly with ground bait mixes. The team would go as far as preparing it away from the hotel and the venue, so keeping it as fresh as possible and also out of view from any prying eyes. Fishing time is 10 AM till 3 PM, so it's a 5-hour duration. There is a 10-minute pre-baiting time, so at 10 minutes to 10, the teams can start feeding without a hook length on through a feeder in preparation for the start of the match. Now, there are 6 anglers practicing for the England feeder team, but only 5 of them will make the team, so unfortunately 1 angler will be dropped. As a result of this, Dean Barlow, the England feeder team manager, has made the decision to give each angler a different way to approach their peg. Some anglers will be fishing short, say 12 metres. Some anglers will be fishing much further, 30, maybe even 40 metres. Some anglers will be given lean to use through the feeder. Some will be given ground bait, some will be given soil, some will be given a mixture of all 3 of these carriers. Practicing is exactly what it says, it's practicing. Working out what baits catch what fish, how many of them on a hook, is it best with a single hook bait or a double hook bait or maybe multiples of hook baits. From this practicing, the results will be analysed, talked about, and a team plan will be developed in preparation for the start of the feeder championships, which start on the Saturday. Now really, on this canal, there are 3 main species of fish to target. The first being the catfish. Now there's numerous catfish all the way along this length, but they're very small, very tricky to catch. You'll get lots of bites, but actually hook very few. And then when you do catch one, they're spiky, so they take a while to unhook. The second fish to target is the carasio, which is a small carp. Now there are nowhere near as many carasio in the canal, and they're definitely a bonus when you do catch one, but they're quite plentiful. There are a few of these in most of the sections. The third fish to target is the skimmer, just like in the UK. We all know they're a shoal fish, but because they're a shoal fish, they're not spread out through the whole length. Today has been the end of the 3rd day practice, and England are starting to formulate a plan. It's by no means easy, and there's lots of tweaks still to be made, but at least the building blocks are starting to form. So we're going to let the team get packed up now because this sun is so hot, and then we'll catch up with Dean Barlow and see where he feels the team are at this exact point in time. So that's the end of day 3. It's a difficult venue because yesterday after day 2 there's a few different fish fed, and we've had to change our tactics slightly. These fish, they're not like we catch in the UK. They respond differently to weather and conditions. So tomorrow, Thursday, is a massive day, it always is. The first couple of days you learn very little about the water. Wednesday, Thursday and Friday are the actual days where you get your team plan sorted. I think we're halfway there, so we've got 2 days to try and fine tune it, so hopefully we can get that podium place. It's day 4, which means it's the 4th official practice day of the Feeder World Championships. The team were up super early again this morning, and the buzz around the camp is just absolutely electric. Day 4 is probably the most important day out of all of the week's practice. This is because you've had 3 days practicing to develop a method. The 4th day, you now put that method into practice to see if it's working. If it isn't, you still have 1 more day just to fine-tune a few things before the big day, or the big 2 days on the Saturday and the Sunday. Now the team have drawn Zone 1 today, or Box 1. There are 27 countries competing, so there are 27 different zones or boxes as they're called. There is a matrix in place that covers all of these zones or boxes through all 5 days. There's then a random draw, and then each team is allocated a box every day. Really important, because that way all the teams know exactly where they're going on each given day, so no two teams are trying to fish the same area. But more importantly, this random draw allows the actual teams to be able to test and fish each area of the canal system. Not only do the anglers have to endure these hot temperatures, they also have to cope with the countless amount of midges and flies and mosquitoes that frequent the water's edge. Now normally, come day 4, there's a clear favourite emerging from the rest of the pack. Now this isn't the case this year, as the venue is fishing particularly tricky. There's plenty of fish in the canal system, but they just don't want to feed, and every team is finding the same outcome. Now, with day 4 being so important, we do not want to disturb the anglers when this practice session starts. So we're going to take this opportunity now to have a quick chat with them individually before this important practice session starts.
We've had 3 really interesting days. I think there's 2 lines. There's a catfish line in the deep water. Then if we want to catch what I call trick fish, carasio, skimmers, silvers, they're short. So we know there's 2 lines. I don't think we've perfected either of them, but we've got 2 big days now. I think today could be an important silverfish day, and then Friday we're going into deeper water at the other end where there's more catfish. So I think we're where we need to be, but we've still got some work to do.
There's a lot of different species in here. So basically we're looking like we're going to go for a 2-line approach. The long line is basically full of catfish. Catfish love food. It's going to be a really, really rich ground bait mix, because that's basically what they like. Obviously the ground bait's going to be full of food, and also we're going to introduce a lot of particles from them as well. On the shorter line, there's where the silvers are and the carasios, and they're a bit more finicky. So obviously we're cutting the ground bait with some soil. Percentages looking probably 50-50, 70-30. Not too sure yet, but that's what we're here to find out.
It's Thursday, day 4. Massive day. I call it the fulcrum day. This is where everything changes. We've learnt about the venue, we've learnt about the species, and it's time to start putting that into practice, because in 2 days' time we've got day 1, and that's massive. I feel it, we all feel it, the team feels it, the management feel it. So here on in, I'm not saying it's a dress rehearsal, it's where we pull it all together and turn a week's practice into how we're going to fish a match.
So today's a very important day in terms of either ruling stuff out and then dotting a few I's as well with the methods that we think are going forwards. But I've got some specific tasks to do today, more to rule things out than to progress with things going forward. And then we've got other anglers that have got set plans for doing things that we think we need to do going forwards. But the complicated thing as well is we don't think the match length is going to fish the same all the way along. So we've got a lot of the backroom staff looking at other sections further up the match length to check what species are in abundance further up the match length as well. So very important day today, because we've only got tomorrow to finalise all the plans.
Because there's 2 different species, we've got to be on it in terms of dropping light when we need to. So close in, we're fishing like 010, 09, 18s, 20s, those sorts of things. We're trying to keep the gate wide because we still want to hit bites, and then on the catfish line you can up it. They're sort of like more bottom dwelling fish, they're more aggressive, so you're talking like 012, 014 and 14s and 12s, because effectively they just gob the bait and you need to wind them back in as quick as you can. So that's what we're looking for across the 2 rigs, but you know, you've got to always be on your guard, and we're changing hooks all the time, and that's the key really, I think.
I think we've got 2 main baits. We've got bloodworm and we've got worms. You know, chopping some worms up has been really important. Putting some joker through the feeder, fishing bloodworm on the hook. But the important thing is just getting the feeding right, because if we're feeding too much bait, the swim doesn't seem to respond in the right way. So smaller baits, little bits of worm, 2 bloodworm, single bloodworm, small hooks, light line. Occasionally for the catfish though, you can fish a bigger hook, a heavier hook with a bigger bait, but that's a feel thing. You've got to feel your way into the swim.
Whilst there is a lot of focus on the competing anglers in these competitions, without doubt the backroom staff are equally as important. All top match anglers in their own right, these guys play such a vital role in any world championship.
The biggest part, I think, in feeder fishing is getting bait right for the anglers on the bank.
Our day will begin at 5 AM. We will then get up first before the rest of the lads, start to get the bait prepared.
We take all the confusion for the lads out. They could concentrate on getting the gear ready. They might have to tweak something in the morning. They'll be tying hooks up, putting shop leaders on, changing braid, changing reel lines. So when they go to the bank, they don't have to worry about the bait. The bait gets delivered.
All the meals are taken care of. We know what time we're having meetings every night. We don't want them worried about anything like that. So my role is just kind of to work with the backroom lads and with Dean to make sure all that comes together, basically.
Once the lads have started fishing and we are sat on the bank, we'll go off to see other teams, we'll watch other teams, how they feed, how they're monitoring the bait throughout the day, what fish they're catching.
We make relations with the other top teams' bank runners. We don't lie to them, they don't lie to us. We share some info. You can't watch 20 teams on one day at the end. So the more people we get friendly with, the more reliable information we can have. The German lad might come, did you see that fish? I'll say, yeah, it's a bream. No need to hide because ego. Lad 20 downs had 4 bream and I could write it on my sheet. Each hour, we'll relay the information back to Dean.
What bait they start with, what they're putting on the hook, hook lengths, have an idea of trying to count. We've all got binoculars, so we'll be looking to see what hook baits they're using. Bit of an idea of the sort of hook size as well. We can see if we get behind someone, but everybody is very clever. The bait umbrellas go up and we can't see what they're doing, or the lids to their side trays will go down.
Some people who've never seen this sort of fishing will not realise how much information you have to pass to each other. People think it's just fishing. It's not a week's fishing. You're representing your country. You're a little cog in a massive working machine. Everyone has their job to do. Everyone knows what they've got to do. You do it, job's a good one.
Right, I'm now with Rich Wilson, and he's been tasked with following the Czech Republic today, because yesterday the Czechs caught a lot of fish. So, hiya Rich, and how's it going today?
Well, today it's like 2 different stories. Yesterday, 3 of their lads caught over 3 kilo. They caught some carp, a load of catfish. Today they've all tried to replicate what them 3 have done, and they're not catching at all. They caught, got 36 catfish in first hour, and they were catching 20 catfish each yesterday an hour. So it just goes to show, second hour they've halved that, and now they're all doing different things. They're underarming, they're looking for other fish, and it's not going their way today, definitely not.
So you don't think it's like a game of chess, like some of the other teams that they think they've got their plan sorted, so they're not giving it away to the eyes that are watching them on the bank runners? Do you think it's a case of that, or do you think it's a case of just what worked yesterday didn't today?
What worked yesterday hasn't today, because they caught some bigger carp. That hasn't worked. They are actually trying to catch some fish now. They're going down, they're setting different rods up, they're trying stuff, they're doing other things. They fish for bleak, all fish for bleak for half an hour and didn't catch them. So I don't think they're trying to pull wool over anyone's eyes today at all.
That's the end of day 4. Now there's one more day of practice left to get everything spot on. Now I don't know if you can hear in the background, but there's a big storm brewing as well. So everybody's rushing to pack up to get off the bank, because when it rains in Serbia, it rains. Now the fishing today has been very technical, more so than the first 3 days. Probably because the amount of pressure that the anglers are putting on the venue. Having said that, England have caught between 2 and 3 kilos a man. Now that's 4 to 6.5 pounds, which in a World Championships on a tough venue is going to be very good. It's definitely looking like England's tactics are going to be a 2-line approach. A line for catfish out towards the middle of the river, and a much shorter line, 12 to 14 metres for silverfish. The team today have caught mostly catfish, other than Adam Wakelin, who's caught some carassios. He's fished a really tidy match, to be fair, on the upper end peg. He's fished a tidy match and probably caught 5 or 6 carassios within his net of fish. The rest of the team have caught mostly catfish with a very odd skimmer in between. The successful baits that the anglers have used today has been either double live pinky, a single live maggot or bloodworm. These baits seem to be sorting out quicker bites than other baits. Now this venue really is proving to be a great choice for a World Championships. Although the fishing is hard, it's technical, so the teams that probably put the most effort in should reap the rewards. On top of that, the access is brilliant. You can drive the full length, park behind your peg. It's just so convenient, whether you're a fisherman or a spectator. It's now time for the opening ceremony. So we're going to wrap up, beat this storm that's coming in, and then meet up with the rest of the team at the venue for this evening.
The opening ceremony is always an amazing event. You get to see friends you haven't seen from the previous year, mixing with all the different countries, trading sort of little bits of information, hoping they'll give you something back.
All the local community come out, cheer us down the street. We get the national anthem, which is always fantastic.
They put on a great show here, as they always do. They're very proud people. They want to show you their town, show you what they're all about, and introduce all those teams. And remember this, not every single member of every single team has been on the World Championships before. So that's their own opening ceremony. And when you doff your caps, and you take your cap off to listen to their national anthem, you know that they're as proud as I was the first time it happened for me.
I'm really lucky. I've been to loads of opening ceremonies over the years, all for the last 20 years of different international things, from juniors, clubs, worlds, and they're always a great event. Sometimes you stand around for a little while, but that moment when you stand up and the national anthem's playing, you all stand side by side, it's an unbeatable moment and a complete privilege to have.
The town always goes that extra mile. Everyone comes out to clap you as you're parading through, and you can tell it means a lot to the people, and it's always a privilege to pull on the shirt.
Now this is really the important part. You have 3 backroom staff sorting the bait out for all of the anglers ready for today's session. They've got live baits, so they've got maggots and pinkies and casters. They've then got bloodworm and joker, and then they've got worms. Now you've got Rich Wilson, Graham West and Eddie Bryden in charge of this. 3 brilliant match anglers in their own right, so they understand the importance of having great quality bait.
Morning.
Morning, Eddie.
How are we doing?
Very good. Can you just run us through this morning what you're doing regarding the bloodworm? I see you preparing it for the lads.
Most important thing with bloodworm is when you're abroad, the temperatures are red hot, right? So what we've got to do is we've got to fridge it, riddle it, keep on the process throughout the week. Toughens the bloodworm up and it keeps it nice and crisp for the weekend. So first thing in the morning, what we do is you get your bloodworm out the fridge, as such. We drain it off like this. Put it in the tub, back in the tub like that, and let it climatise. See how cold that is.
That's really cold.
Right. So now we've got to bring it round to like an air temperature, so it starts moving. Because you can't put bloodworm out of cold water into the cold water out the tap, because it's not freezing like the fridge. It's got to climatise. So we leave it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let it come round. Then we'll put their tap water, which you can tell the difference.
Oh, it's lukewarm.
Right, so what we do is we fill our riddles up, such. A bit short that one, but we'll sort that out shortly. And then in 5 minutes, I'll stick that on the riddle, let it go through.
So what goes through is good, what stays on the top's obviously dead and thrown away.
Dead's good.
Wonderful stuff. Cheers, Eddie.
Welcome.
Bait limits are so important in the World Championships. You're allowed half a litre of worms. Now Graham West, who's just behind me, he's riddling the dendrobinas ready for the morning so that the fishermen have the correct amount of worms that they're going to need for the day's fishing ahead. Let's go and catch up with Graham and just see what he's doing now. Morning, Graham. So sorry just to pull you to one side. I see how busy you are and how many worms there are. Just run me through what you're doing.
Well, obviously our limit is half a litre of worms, but once we put them through the sieve, you think you've got everything off, and it's really important that it's neat worm that goes into the limit. So once we've got the limit of half a litre, then we can add soil to it. But when they do the bait check, it needs to be a pure half a litre of worms. So we put them through the sieves, we let them settle, put them through the sieve again, get as much of this off as we can. I mean, it looks like, you know, that's neat worm, but it's not. Once we put them in the bucket and they settle, there'll be another layer of peat on top of them because it pushes them to the top because they all bury to the bottom. And they compact, so we need to give them time to compact so we get a full half litre of what the guys have allocated.
Amazing stuff. It looks a lot of hard work, but that's great. Thanks for the insight, Graham.
No problem.
So morning, Rich. Now,
Morning, mate.
obviously we still use the trusty maggot and pinkies.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of worm being used, but the famous maggots and pinkies still really play a part in, in the World Championships. So why are we tying them up for? Where's all the air gone?
So what we're doing is, we get the maggots, pinkies and casters off the official bait man here. This is something that's sometimes out of our control. We can only do work with what we get off them. So these are maggots that were alive. We want a quantity of dead maggots. So any maggots that come off the bank at end of day, we're chilling down in fridge, putting them in bags, killing them, ready to take to the bank in the morning each day.
And you do this every single evening?
Every single day. So every bit of bait we've got allocated, we bring off the bank and reuse for the next day.
So nothing gets wasted?
No, because we're only limited to quantities what we can get off the bait supplier, and we never want to run out, so we've got a little surplus supply, a little rollover. We're always going to have some for Saturday, Sunday for the main days, and we just go it, and it's just like little things like, as casters, we can only work with what we get.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not what we're used to at home,
yeah,
but we've just got to do it.
Thanks for that, Rich. That was really appreciated.
No worries, pal.
With the bait expertly prepared and the last day of practice upon us, the team have decided on a two-line approach. The first line, the long line, will be fished at a distance of 35 metres in the deeper water for catfish. This long line has quite a silty bottom and has a depth of approximately 18 foot, so about 5.5 metres. The second line will be fished much shorter, anywhere from 9 to 12 metres out from the bank, and aimed predominantly at the silverfish in the canal. The depth here is shallower, approximately 8 to 10 feet, so about 2.5 to 3 metres deep. Now, depending on the peg, this canal has large rocks starting at the water's edge that then go out into the canal anywhere from 9 to 12 metres. After this, the rocky bottom changes to much smaller stones, almost gravel-like, and this is where the team have found that the silverfish prefer to feed. Any closer than this, and you're fishing on top of the bigger rocks, which can hamper presentation, or even worse, run the risk of having your feeder fall between these big rocks and becoming caught up. Therefore, each angler has to be really careful and precisely plumb up before the match starts, so they know exactly where these big rocks finish and the smaller stones start. Today is also the day when Dean Barlow, with the help from his wingman, Jamie Harrison, has to decide who the five-man squad will be for this year's Feeder World Championships. Dean's just got back from HQ, where they've done tomorrow's World Championship section draws. Now let's have a quick minute with him just to see how he reached this difficult decision picking the team.
Being a manager is not the easiest thing in the world, especially when you've got 6 absolute cracking anglers. Unfortunately, I can only pick 5. So it's a brilliant position to be in, to have 6 such good anglers. But like I say, it's the worst job in the world. But the decision's been made, and we move on till tomorrow.
Also, you've been to the draw this afternoon, which shows you the rotations for the sections for tomorrow's World Championships. How did that go as well?
Well, the draw is done quite different, Steve. You actually draw for sections on the Friday night, and then you draw your actually pegs on the Saturday morning. And thrown into that as well is you actually have to draw a lot number to see in what order you draw. We've drawn number 27, which means that we're going to be first to draw on Sunday, but last to draw tomorrow. It just gives, it's like a random assortment of just how the draw works, you know.
Yeah, well, I can understand that fully, but hey, listen, we're all behind you 100%, and we'll be catching up with you regularly all through Saturday and Sunday.
Cheers, thank you.
It's the first day of the Feeder World Championships. You can feel the anticipation in the air. All the England team were up super early this morning. It's so clear to see how up for it all the lads are. This is what they've been working towards all year. Dean Barlow and Jamie Harrison were the first England anglers on the bank. That's because the draw is carried out at 6:30 in the morning. The rest of the England team followed shortly after, where the bib with the section and the peg number was handed to them. Now, unlike the practice days, where a team is allocated a box where all 6 practicing anglers can fill in, come the actual match day, only 1 angler will be in a specific section. Now, to go into a bit more detail, there's 27 teams of 5 anglers. So there are 5 large sections. These sections are then broken down into 27 separate areas. An angler from each team will then fish one of these sections. Therefore, with all the anglers spread out over the whole length, this makes for a much fairer match. You're then fishing for section points. So if you were to win your section, you'd get 1 point. If you were second, you'd get 2 points, third 3 points, and so on. And then it's the lowest accumulation of points that will see that team be crowned the 2023 Feeder World Champions. There was some rain in the north last night, which has fed into the canal system. Now this has increased the flow and the depth fractionally, but also increased the colour of the canal. Is this a good thing? Only time will tell.
We've been working towards this, not just me, everybody, been working towards this for the last 6 months, getting everything organised, people sorted, Drennan International sorting us out all his gear, which has been incredible. We're here and we're going to give it his best.
But unfortunately, this is a 5-man event, and this year the 5 days practice hasn't really gone well for me. I've kind of stepped left when I should have been right. I've done the wrong things on the right days and the right things on the wrong days. And what that means is that somebody's got to be reserve and step back and let the other 5 fantastic anglers represent the country. Let me just say that how can I sound and say that I'm proud to be reserve? I'm not proud to be reserve, I'm absolutely devastated. But when I've looked down the line and seen who's fishing in front of me, I'm proud as hell. And this team means more to me than I can actually put into words. I've been with the team since its inception in 2011, and I've fished every single year. This is the first time I've not started, but that's down to how my week's gone. It's as simple as that. No bones about it, and I just want to support these guys over the next 2 days, because what we really want is another medal to go with our 2 golds, our 2 silvers, and so on and so forth.
So, the end of day 1 and England are in pole position. We've just grabbed Dean, just have a few words to see what he thinks about day's 1 performance. Dean, how's it gone today?
Oh, it's gone really well, Steve, but obviously it's only half time, so forgive me if I'm not as upbeat as everybody might think I am, but this is, to use a very well-termed phrase, it's a game of 2 halves. We're winning the first half, but there's a big second half to come. The guys have performed absolutely magnificent. Not the guys just fishing, the bank runners and everything. So, but tomorrow we've got to double our efforts, and hopefully it will be on our side again.
We've noticed today that there's been a bit more colour in the venue today. Do you think your plans are going to change for the second day, or are they going to stay exactly the same?
Well, I always said from the start that we've got a basic plan, but in a live theatre like match fishing is, you have to be quite fluid. Some decisions have to be taken when you see the water. I mean, when we left the venue Friday afternoon, the water was gin clear. We've got there this morning, the water's coloured up. Obviously more silverfish have fed, you know, so you have to take everything into consideration. And like you say, everything is quite fluid, so you can change little things and everything like that. And as the guys all see on the video, that the decisions you make are just unbelievable, and how positive it can be. But it goes the same, sometimes they go for you and sometimes they don't. So hopefully not going to change too much. We're going to make a couple of little decisions when we see the canal tomorrow morning. So yeah,
Absolutely great stuff. Again, my first time on the international scene, loved watching it, and me and Rich had a good chat about it. We love watching it too. We can't believe actually what goes into it, but we also, at the same time, we cannot wait for day 2 tomorrow.
Well, it's World Championships, isn't it? What did you expect? It's world. Everything is world class about it. The organisation, all the participants, all the staff that put it all together. It's all world class.
Fantastic stuff. Right, we'll try tomorrow. Good luck.
C4, Adam.
We were high, I was high.
The main aim, as you all know, is the team. Anything else is a bonus. Yeah? So, let's get it done. And let's get let's get a gold medal. We've got a brilliant chance, you know what I mean? So, let's just do what we do best and wind some fishing. Right. All right, lads?
Good luck, lads. Good luck.
So there we have it. The second match day is underway, with months of preparation coming down to 5 hours of intense angling. We'll of course be keeping our cameras well back from the action, and even the crew are on the edge of their seats, given that such small weights can make such a huge difference at the weigh-in as to whether you make that magical podium or not. The determination and concentration on the faces of all the team is so clear to see. Then, what seemed all too soon, the hooter is sounded, signalling the end of the match.
Come in, Mick. Was that Will 2920?
2920. There's elite lads done him with 60 grams, which we weren't even considering. Probably didn't think it'd get to that.
Yes, I do.
Manning on 14 is going to be in the other section, isn't he? So we might get 4 points here.
Has he beat Lee's?
No, points to the left, weight to the right.
Don't get him.
Hungary 32.
Yep.
Netherlands 36, and we're third with 38, mate.
38 points.
Gutted.
Gutted, but
absolutely gutted, but you know,
we've got on podium from a
podium,
venue.
A podium.
We don't know. Fish we never catch. I know we had a mega day yesterday, and
yeah,
we've suffered a little bit at weights today, but
well, you always say you'll take the podium before you leave home.
yes, 100%.
So,
well done, Gaffer. Done his best. Done well. Look at it that way.
you don't get many chances though, do you? But you know, like I say, you take a podium before you come.
Let's get wrapped up. Let's go and seat lads and go and congratulate them, because they're going to feel exactly like you're going to feel. So, come on.
Obviously, not the result that we wanted, especially after the commanding performance of day one. A few things have gone against us, but that's just the way it is. Sometimes somebody does it a little bit better than you. But we're on the podium, never to be sniffed at international level, and 2 podiums in 2 years I think is a way forward from where we started.
Well, there you have it. Hungary are the 2023 FIDE World Champions with a total of 32 points. The Netherlands finished in second place with 36 points. And then England were third, claiming that all-important podium finish with 38 points. This has truly been a fantastic event from start to finish, with the very best feeder anglers from all over the world competing against one another. The whole England team have performed brilliantly, even more so when you take into account that the venue was completely unknown to them. They were fishing in sweltering temperatures and catching species like catfish and wild carassios that we just don't fish for back in the UK. A podium finish against such formidable opponents is a great result and one that every team member is very proud of. We already can't wait for the 2024 FIDE World Championships, which will be held in northern Spain. And we'll be there with the cameras following the England feeder team through this fantastic event again. I'm with Thomas Walter, one of the superstars from the 2023 FIDE World Championship champions. How does it feel?
It feels the same good as in the last 20 years. Anytime when we won something, actually I was happy to hear the national anthem again. After 2019, we won it in South Africa, you know, the feeders. It's the second time for the team. We are over the moon, yeah. You can imagine.
Of course, the team must be absolutely buzzing. Did you have a great big team plan, or did each angler do their own thing?
No. It was a team plan, but it was a long venue, and obviously the sections were different, and the days were different too. Today was a very similar day to Friday, when the silverfish from the short line disappeared for some reason, probably the wind. It was a face wind, which didn't work on Friday. Yesterday, it was a good day on the short line. We had to adjust our tactic. Today, we could turn back to the Friday one on the training tactic, and it worked well. So we won today. We were third place yesterday. We won today, and we are very satisfied, how to say.
You've got the trophy, you've got the championship. Fantastic, Thomas. Well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I always have mixed feelings when we get back from a World Champs. The intensity of the week is just something you just don't experience on the domestic scenes.
Call a team medal for a reason. It takes a monumental effort by everybody involved to win one. Blood, sweat and tears went into this by everyone. Part of the team were everyone back home, sending the messages of support, showing how much they respected what we were doing. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Thanks everybody for your support last week at the World Champs. The backing from Drennan was amazing. The guys on the bank were amazing.
Absolutely.
We've had a great time, haven't we?
It's been brilliant, and obviously the support that you get from the people out there, you guys, is just amazing, and that is what makes these trips.
It really is. And Will, making your debut, you loved it, didn't you?
Well, it's fantastic. Yeah, just a chance to make a start on a venue like that, and for it all to click. You know, we maybe left a point or two behind, didn't we? But the guys were behind us all the way, and it really makes the difference every day when we scroll through the comments. That it just makes you proud to be there.
We also know that within a matter of weeks we will already be planning next year's event, where I know the lads will be once again setting the sights on a gold medal.
So it's been a couple of weeks since we got back from the World Championships. As you can see, I'm in my garage sorting my gear out for the forthcoming matches. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their continued support. It's been absolutely massive. The guys read all the comments and we listen to everything you guys say, and you've been nothing but absolutely brilliant. Like I've said before, we're thousands of miles away from our family. Getting that support is absolutely critical to where we want to be as a team, and it's always appreciated. So once again, thanks very much. Cheers.